All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Judging by the attendance here, it looks like it is month end. In fact, it is month end in July 31st, and I guess everybody's busy at work closing out the month, which is probably where they ought to be. So I don't hold them at fault for not being on this call. But there is some interesting stuff that I want to talk about on this call. I'm waiting for my guest to come on and share some insights with us, and he'll be along any moment. I did have a note to self with respect to some of the calls that have taken place in the last couple calls. Note to self was, what is it about Niken we love? So we had talked about identity. That was a pretty interesting call. And judging by everybody's reaction on that call, this is, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Launch Partners had a call on Friday. And Launch Partners is a group that meets on a regular basis once a week. They are the coordinators of all the public events that are taking place across Niken North America. And all of those events are viewable by way of that flyer that we created. The Active Wellness Tour flyer, and you can go to Active Wellness Tour on Facebook. Just search Active Wellness Tour, subscribe to that, and you'll get, it's just click to like it, and you'll get access to all the flyers that are taking place and all the events that are taking place across North America. So, with respect to the call that we had a conversation that was a pretty deep and intense conversation about how we identify ourselves and our role, and how Niken fits into our sense of identity as a vehicle. But more importantly, the principle of the matter, independent of Niken, how you identify with who you are, what you're doing, which is the purpose of why you're doing Niken. And ultimately, that's what's driving behavior. Well, my guest has just joined us, and as I was mentioning to the crew who has joined us, it looks like it's a month end, given the numbers that are on this call. So I'm hoping that everybody who's not on this call and going to watch the playback is busy closing out the month with some new executives and some new silvers and all those beautiful incentives that Niken put together. But for time's sake, let's get straight to what I wanted to ask Rick Murphy, who's here on our call tonight, to share. We had a conversation earlier, him and I, and a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we were talking about the need for, this may be even 4 weeks ago, we were talking about the need for you to think about how you're going to initiate action with somebody when you enroll them. What were the things that you're going to do to sponsor somebody? The 3 commitments: time, money, contacts. And where the money's concerned, it was with respect to product. Specifically, the idea of a pack, given that we don't actually have such a thing, but to start thinking about what you would put together as a 500 pack, a 1,000 pack, maybe a 1,500 pack, so that there's less thinking involved when you enroll somebody and more action. And I'm hoping, and maybe sooner than later, that Niken will give us something of a solution where that's concerned. But in the meantime, my buddy here, Rick, pointed out that there's something he had worked on, put out, and is available for everyone to download on pathfinders.biz. I went to take a look at it myself, and I thought, well, rather than me, broken telephone telling you what I learned about, I'm just going to have Rick tell you himself. So I've invited Rick tonight. Thank you for joining us, Rick.
My pleasure. Sorry, it took me a minute. Windows picked tonight to do an update.
You know what? That's happened to me hosting this call, so you can imagine everybody standing by for me to show up. Wondering if I'm going to show up.
Then I had a 5-year-old in here going crazy because he wanted to play the Xbox with his big brother who's sitting right next to me. Everything that could have gone wrong. It was 2 minutes till, and it was a pandemonium over here.
Perfect. That's the way it should be. Chaos, calm, collected chaos. Yeah. All right, Rick. Well, we talked about this earlier today, about the idea of somebody getting started with a certain amount of volume and a configuration of products that made sense. And I, to be honest, I have my own ideas about that. Water and sleep is something I sort of put out there as a real significant driver when it comes to the recruiting model. And then we have some consumables, which is an incredible driver, especially the weight management program for our residual business. But, recruiting and consumerism are two very different things, what drives one versus the other. And one of the things that fell out of the system of the MLM model in our transition to accumulate customers and move in that customer-centric market was the loss of some of those key components that network marketing companies offer in order to get people started. They have starter packs that are encouraged behaviors that are duplicatable, easy to talk about, easy to sell. There's usually an incentive or something, and it creates the pattern for duplication. And you'd given some thought to that already. So why don't you just share with us your thoughts on that, right?
Sure, absolutely. Well, we had a pretty good chunk of new people come in all at once over a little. We did working with launching cities around Texas, and interestingly enough, a lot of the new people coming on board, we found didn't know where to begin. I know you guys have already found this before on the product side, and so we talked to them and said, well, what makes sense? We talked to ourselves, so what makes sense? What do you need to demo versus use yourself? And we came up with an analogy. In fact, the people that helped us put this together were roughly gold to platinum equivalent in Young Living. And I'll spare you the long story, but we pulled an entire leg out of Young Living, and they went silver like in 2 days. There were like 35 people at the first meeting. And it was fascinating to hear when I went in how the upline that was there kind of hovering over the group was being real protective of the group. And, I love our essential oils, and we don't need anything else. And by the end, she was the last one there signing up. And she looked at me and she said, Rick, I love our oils. Your product line is extraordinary, but I got to tell you, our business model is not sustaining itself. And she told me that. And that's when she kind of opened up. And she said, what would really help you guys is you've got 70 or whatever products in the catalog. You can't sell a catalog. Where do you begin? And so I drew it out. I said, well, what are the basics of Nikken? Sleeping, drinking, active energy. Our original products are mag steps, and we don't call them mag steps. We call them active energy, so it's a category. And then what are the basis of our nutrition? I mean, okay, what is it? You've got our meal, you've got our fruits, you've got our vegetables, Siaga Jade Green. And then I was sitting there, and there was about 20 people in the room. We said, well, how do I explain this? Whether you're a customer, whether you're a Nikken person, you're joining our team. And if you're on a baseball team, everybody in the team has the same jersey. You wear the same hat, you got shoes, and you got a glove. That's the standard uniform. Now, the catcher may have specialized equipment. The first baseman may have a separate mitt. The shortstop may wear the socks up to his knees. But there's a difference between the uniform and the specialized equipment. So the uniform in Nikken is sleeping, drinking, mag steps, core nutrition. And then if you've got bone density issues or you've got your favor the skincare, those are all things that are your first baseman's bit or your catcher's outfit. But it's a what is when you become a Nikken on our starting team. So instead of calling it packs, which is problematic, we wanted to go a different way and say this is what your starting team is. So we offered a good, better, or good best for sleep, which is a lot of people sleep in the cocoon like it's either a bed or I know people that even have two and they use it as a sandwiching sleep system. It's an entry point for people that are coming to Nikken stone broke, but then there's the full sleep system. And I won't get into how to sell that. If you want to sell sleep systems, seeing is believing, but trying is buying. You give it to somebody for 4 or 5 days and you say, if you like it, I'll help you get one. If you don't, I'll pick it up. It's that easy. And I think you'll sell 2 out of 3 that you'll own for a week. The water system, if I got a mom of 4 and she's stone broke, can barely sign into Nikken, she can still be a starting player with a water bottle. And then she's going to want to upgrade to a waterfall. But either way, if you go water bottle, cocoon, and the basic 3 plus the mag steps, you're playing right around 500. And of course, if you go to the bed, you can scale it up as high as you want, 2,000 or 3,000 points. So you've got different tiers of entry. And then we have a second tier of products, your durable items, is people that were coming on in the business. What we do, for example, for a preview, we take the at a glance, that quick brochure. So if I'm doing an ABC, I run through it. But if I'm doing a preview, I actually have it in slides. And so we tell them what we told them, and we told them again, we layer the message. And I put the slides up, and we do a preview in 15 minutes or less. And then we do favorite 5. Instead of talking about 80 products and talking science for 3 hours, we go through the main demos. And so the top of the page is the starting team products. The bottom is the stuff that lets you basically get set up to do the top product demos live in front of a group. That's how it's set up.
Now, Rick, you've taken that one step further. You published that. How do you, and so what's the link? It's
go to the pathfinders.biz and then hit the launch page. And if you don't mind me sharing my screen, I can pull it up right here.
Let's do it right now. Let's see.
Right, well,
are you able to? Let me just make it so you can. Hang on a second.
All right. I'm not only sharing my screen,
there you go.
I'm sharing my heart. All right. Well, it's still disabled. Now, okay, there we go. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Let me pull it up. I got it right. Here we go. Starting team products. And we wrote it up like almost a baseball team where people just kind of got it, where it didn't seem like I want you to buy a bunch of stuff. Give
me 1 second, Rick.
Go ahead.
If you guys see this a little bit too big on your screen, go to at the top. It says View Options and click Fit to Window.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll pull it down a little bit too. Zoom. Isn't it ironic that I'm zooming on the Zoom?
That's under the Department of the Redundancy Department.
It is. Now I went too small. Now I unzoomed on the Zoom. We'll get it going here. Here we go. Actual size. Now that wouldn't work.
Actually, the way I see it right now is good.
Okay. Well, it's easy. We wrote it like a baseball team, so it's non-offensive, and it seems easy, and it makes sense. I believe talking in analogy makes sense, and if you tell somebody being a Niken is like, and we actually do in our trainings, you guys will like this. I've got a picture of a guy standing there, and then I say, what is he? And everybody's like trying to guess. And then the next slide, I have the same guy holding a soccer ball wearing a soccer uniform. He said, well, he's a soccer player. The next page, it's a guy, and then there's a guy wearing a football uniform. I said, well, what is he? He's a football player. Well, how do you know? Well, he's holding the football. And then I show a picture of somebody standing there. I say, well, what is she? They say, well, we don't know. And the next slide, I've got him holding Niken products. They say she's a Niken consultant.
We got to get her on a Niken T-shirt with the "I love Niken" on it.
That's what it is. But it takes it from where people go, well, gee, that makes sense.
Right.
And then also it allows us to be in a center. If you look at our product line, like a big wide bar from skincare to immunity, we're all in the middle. Whether you've got, I've got cancer, diverticulitis, conjunctivitis, halitosis, and every other thing in the world. What products do I need? You lay on the bed, you drink the water, you active energy, your core nutrition. I don't even want to talk to you about osteodense if you don't have your fruits, your veggies, and your balanced meal. We're not pharma. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to prescribe you things unless you're working in the middle and knocking out the balance. That's like you coming to me with your car not working and me telling you to replace the engine before you just check the gas level. This is our gas. This is our core. Everybody gets it. Healthy to professional athletes to Grandma Buford. It's 88 years old. Everybody gets the same stuff.
I like that term core because we do have the core consultant, the idea of being a core consultant. What are the behaviors of that? So core products, core starter products. I don't know. I like the term.
Yeah. And the demo stuff at the bottom, like when we do that preview, we do 15 minutes of talking. And before we do the preview, we hand out the Kinko Touch. Somebody always gets an experience. I take 2 mag steps, put them underneath the 2 new people's feet, 1 each, so they get that tingly feeling. The cocoon is killer in front of a live audience. I have people wrapping up in that, just absolutely fall in love with it, won't part from it, and ends up being a conversation piece. And then after the meeting, we do the strength tests or the demos. We do the water test. We put the celery in there and show it sucks the chlorine out. And so 15 minutes of talking maximum in our open previews, followed by the demos, and then everybody comes up and signs up. We're getting like an 80% sign-up rate when we follow that process. And then what's cool is we can send them home again with the at a glance. We layer the message again so they go home with it. So we tell them what we told them again. We send them home with the message, but then we're bringing the products to the fore where people can do it. So Mike, if I'm coming in to do a meeting, I may bring this stuff the first time, but when they've got 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 people coming and they've launched their area or their team, I tell them, now it's your turn to have the demo stuff and I'll come up and do the meeting. And so it's giving a reason for people to do that.
Now you haven't touched on this, but I want to ask about the consumable samples. How are you using them in your meeting?
We're going to have a table set up in San Antonio instead of doing it from stage, showing some stuff from the Container Store and some other really neat ideas to show people how to sample. What we found the best samplers are the Kenzen Vital Balance. The 10-4 is another great one. You can even do like jade green if you get the powder. There's some easy things you can do, like baby bottle formula containers hold 3 servings of formula. You hand it to them, and all you do is click the thing and dump it into a glass, and it's a ready portable sampler. We're going to have container store stuff for the skincare to be able to sample it out. Paige says the best thing to sample with the skincare is the face cream, not only for price but for ability. And she's going to show how to do some stuff like with hands, because she'll tell more about this than I. But like, you don't really want to touch faces. There's a lot of bacteria. There's a lot of liability with doing that. I've seen people at meetings have like the skincare out where they're passing it around. That's so unsanitary. So we're going to show some sampling things, also some containers. But the rule of thumb is with nutritionals, if you're going to sample 2 to 3 servings of like KVB. If you give somebody 1, they say, oh, that's nice. If you give 2 or 3, they miss it on the 3rd or the 4th day. So you want to sample enough like they're going to use it for a little while. Like anything else, it's people make a mistake of just sampling 1. Right. So we're going to get the top things we can sample, which I think is the KVB. And out of that, that would be 10 if you're doing 3, 15 if you're doing 2s. You could do that with jade green. You could make a sampler with 3 KVBs, 3 jade greens. You could even do Ciagas, I suppose. We're going to come up with all kinds of neat ways. We're going to sit on a big table in the lobby and call it demo samples. If you've got a hot prospect, give them 2 KVBs, 2 jade greens, 2 Ciagas, send them home. I tell you what, guys.
Let me hold your thought for a second, Rick. So what I'm gathering from this is 2 things. In the durables, we have products that we can demonstrate and create immediate impact.
In the meetings,
and it's the wow. It's the wow factor. We can then send people home with samples to try in terms of our consumables. And what that does is it sets up a culture of samples, of giving out samples, which, by the way, makes your samples not only a tax deduction, but
payable.
It's payable, and it's auto ship. It's repeat. Like, you're going to want more to come through the turnstile so that you can keep that process up with all your prospects. So you build a culture within the organization of samples, which creates. You don't get that warehouse of products building up in somebody's closet.
Internal. And, most other MLMs, guys, I got to be honest with you, if you look at how they conduct business, they're sampling. And my wife has said, I know I keep harping on it, seeing is believing, but trying is buying. That's her mantra. And she used to be a sales trainer.
Love it.
We got to get this out there. And I give them a little card, Michael, say this super fast. I say, take your Ciaga first on an empty stomach. I can actually feel it going through my veins. Wait about 5 or 10 minutes and hit your KVB with your jade green in it. Sample those 3 things out. They are powerful. Or pop your 10-4 in. And I have people coming back saying, man, I felt awake at 11 or 12 in the morning when I'm usually crashing, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're actually getting product results from that little sampling package that are every bit as powerful as the ones from the magnets.
Cool.
With energy.
All right.
So, yeah, our business is going to get legs, not recliners.
Okay, let me shift gears here, Rick. That's phenomenal stuff for our sample kits, or how to enroll somebody and get them started on these packs, these starting team product packs.
Yeah.
And you can get that. You can download this PDF at.
And you're welcome to take it, put it up on your site, whatever you want to do.
No problem. We can circulate it via our WhatsApp chat as well. So this is good. The other question, but we talked a little bit about this, and I like this. Yeah, there you go. Just talk about that.
Well, basically what we found also was we were doing everything with our team, and my first inclination was, okay, I got a big team. Let's get them going. Let's get them fired up. And it tended to be an internal conversation. And over the last 6 months, I think what we found is how to make the new NECAN operate. And I tell our people, when you're new, it's real simple. Sign up. Order your starting team products, hit your 500 every month. I don't care if grandma's on auto ship. I'm joking, but I don't care. Whatever you got to do to hit your 500, hit it. And then number 3, bring people on board until you've got 3+ good partners. And then we started thinking to ourselves, well, the whole country's wide open. One of the things I tell people, okay, I'm standing today in Tyler, Texas. I could draw a circle 8 hours in any direction, and I could fit everybody that knows about NECAN Wave 2. Not people still in NECAN 1 that are still signed up into. Not people that know we sell magnets. People that understand that we are the most advanced non-medical active wellness company in the world that has crossbred with the most advanced home business to create something entirely new. We're the world's first home career, and we are seeking people that want to make a lot of money helping people live a better life by launching this corporation here and now in our area. And you could take everybody bringing this amazing next generation Apple that knows about it within 6 hours and fit them on the short bus. And people's eyes bug out of their heads. And I tell them, everywhere you go, you're going to be first that knows about NewKen, because we just launched it in January. So what we tell them is a business partner is someone who becomes a NewKen consultant with the intention of building a network. And if you're somebody that's already in NewKen, we want our people to have an idea that we're launching a second wave business. It's not about calling 4 existing people in 3 cross lines and saying, wow, 10 people came to my meeting. It's about people that are not in NewKen yet and finding out who can attract them. And we tell our people real simple. Find people that say, wow, that's cool, to what's in the at a glance. We dumb it down to a 5th grade level. That said, your goal every month is not only to use the stuff and hit your 500, but sponsor 1 new business partner. That is the core activity. No matter what else we all do, that is the place where you go from being a consumer or a salesperson to a networker. That's the thing. That's the game. It's not reading, talking, sharing with each other. It's not using products. It's not giving a public service address on active wellness. It's not talking about how osteodance affects amoebas in the Yucatan. It's when you're sponsoring people.
It's where the rubber hits the road.
It is. If you're sponsoring, you're a networker. If you're talking product, you're a salesperson. Having said that, your core activity is 1, but if you have 3 new legs or business partners, your business is launched. If you have 10 new partners in your group, your team is launched. If you have 30 plus people at your event with 10 under 1 year old in NewKen, your area is launched. And if you have 100 plus people, your region is launched. And the thing I'm going to say about this too, let's say I'm in Chicago and D. Welsh and Company have a 1,000-person Chicago group. That's great. The way you lose momentum, though, is by saying, come and join the existing group and sit in the back. You want the newest people that you bring on board to say, when you get 3, your team is launched, 3, your business is launched, 10, your team is launched. We want to welcome Madeline Zaworski, Team Chicago. You're a new area leader because your team has 30 people on it. And by the way, now we want to welcome a new regional leader, Stanley Bogus, because his group has 100 people in Greater Cleveland. You see how it not just launches an area, but it keeps the weight on bringing people and the focus external, so that you're always in launch mode. Because even if there's 10,000 people in NewKen in the city of Chicago, if I sign up in 4 years and I don't have anybody in my group, there's a gang of 1. So this not only works now as we're launching the country, but it will continue to work and give people a metric to say, man, I got 30 people in my group with 10 new. I'm on my way. And if you're at that size of, by the way, that's just business partners, Mike. That doesn't include customers. Doesn't include small potatoes. If you hit that 30, you're probably going to be gold. I figured that out right around the gold running to platinum.
Yeah. And this, by the way, if you guys haven't figured it out, this parallels pretty much exactly what our launch strategy is.
It does. And we could not be more synchronized. Everybody's a launch partner. The question is, who's a launch leader?
Great point.
And
Let's just say that again. Let me just repeat that. Everybody's a launch partner, but who's a launch leader?
Yeah, who's a leader? Here it is. Let's find out in a city of 60 active NewKen people who the hot one is that wants to bring in the next 1,000, as opposed to having the hot one in the back, hearing from the 10 that already are considered the people that are running the city. Let's start to uncover those people who are our next generation Eagles. Let's find it out. And let's all make a lot of money as we watch NewKen turn into 50,000 person regional events. This is the way to do it.
By the way, just as a footnote for those of you who are looking at this, again, this document is a PDF available on Pathfinders Biz, so I suggest you pull it down and take a screen cap of this right now. These markers, if you will, are opportunities for recognition. So we've just been putting some stuff in the store for opportunities for recognition, like the new T-shirts or the NewKen T-shirts or the baseball caps. These are great ways of bringing some honor and recognition to your team. So you should probably consider having a few of these things on hand as you're going through this launch. Nice. You're launching new people. Okay, well, let's just let's switch here to Maybe we can get the screen back. Exit full screen. Rick, can you bring that back to general view? Just exit your.
Yeah, let me stop share.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Rick? Don't be shy.
You can ask me about the Bears if you want, D.
Any questions?
We're totally in sync for what's going to happen in October and beyond with these events too. We're going to be a seamless organization, giving people value. We're working together. We're having fun. We're going to make people proud of the company we're in and take this thing through the roof. So I appreciate just being here, Mike, while we're waiting. I love being here with you guys, man.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for sharing. Anyone? Barbara, I see you unmuted. Go ahead.
I don't have a question for Rick, but I just always have to comment on how brilliant and articulate he is. It's like, boom,
Thank
boom,
you.
boom, my brain is going, wait a minute, okay. So I'm giving you a high five there.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's very kind.
Awesome. Everybody's going to pull off a PDF tonight, and you're going to have that on hand for you to share and circulate.
I didn't put on a shirt with a collar for nothing. I'm excited.
Anyone else? Question for Rick?
I like the team start, and PACs, whatever they are, they've really been missed. So that's wonderful. So, and I like the team concept. That's what we're doing. We're being the team.
Mike, I think we're not speaking out of class to say if we start moving these, I bet Kurt will do a lot of things to help us even be more efficient with the incentives. If we can get this thing moving and show that there's value, my gut tells me this can turn into something that's even easier. I think you, without being too out of school, Mike, I think Kurt would love it if we started to move these together. I bet we could get a lot of fun things to happen.
I totally agree. I mean, one of the things that I'm doing right now, considering for August, I'm going to actually announce to my group is an incentive. And that incentive, I know Dave has already announced an incentive with respect to sponsoring. So I wanted to add an incentive to maybe encourage first orders, whether you sponsor a person or it's to a consultant. That doesn't matter to me. Something to do with an emphasis on sleep. I want to get those sleep systems moving, get that back in the vibe and the culture of the field. So I'm going to be doing that. I look just to encourage you guys to think about how you might want to, help people get started. Those packs that Rick just went over, they're great ways to get started. I see that as the answer for that question we posed maybe 4 weeks ago.
And it worked. These were designed by new people who continually ask the same questions. Where do I begin with 70 products? And this platinum in Young Living that had a very big group was used to moving very quickly. She said, until you guys get this, you'll never rapidly duplicate. And this is somebody that went basically to platinum in 6 months before Young Living kind of did one of these. And I mentioned the name of the company because they've been hotter to $2 pistol. But the backside of it is she said the comp plan isn't really going to be sustainable for 30 or 40 years. She says, what you guys have will be. I'm going to put my attention in Niken, but if you want me to do that, you got to give me the basic stuff that you have to run a network. That came directly from this high-speed platinum.
Yeah, well, she's right. She's right on the money. So excellent.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Stanley.
Rick, tell me more about the samplers. I had an experience. I gave a sample of Bone Health, all 3 products for 5 days.
Right.
And I got, it was like about 3 years ago, and I have a auto-ship customer since then.
It is, and it all goes back to you try your product. Why do companies spend millions of dollars setting up at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and they set up these trucks and they do these things? Is because why do malls, if you walk into the mall, what are all the cosmetics and skincare companies doing and the fragrance companies doing when you walk into Macy's? They're squirting you with stuff. I thought it was Banaka, by the way, and I took a squirt of perfume. It did not taste good the other day. But it is. The thing we've been missing is the way to do it. So in San Antonio, there's going to be a table set up, and the reason I can't tell you now is we're still working on the solutions. We're going to have one page that says sample. Here's where you get the sample container, and here's what it looks like. We're looking at the Container Store, some really cheap, elegant solutions, so that we can have 8 or 10 of our products. And you don't want to focus on 80 products. This is another thing. You have to have as the Germans said in their Blitzkrieg, you have to have a Schwerpunkt, which means tip of the spear. You have to have the tanks together that break through. Then you follow it with everything. We have to identify what our breakthrough products are. They're going to get fast results. They're easy to demo. They're relatively low cost, and they get a quick, fast result. If you do that, it opens the door to the rest of the product line. You have to get them to try one thing, and then they're going to buy the second and the third thing. We got to find the 5 to 10 things that really get results and really create passion. And then they're going to get on there and say, oh, that looks interesting. I trust Niken. I'll try the CM cream. And by the way, the CM cream is another one you can sample.
Yeah, most of us, we cut our teeth on Niken with, an insole demonstration, something like simple as that. So that was the starting point. And I kind of look at it in hindsight, Niken, 42 years, 43 years in business, they didn't drop all these products in one day. It was 43 years of development. So we want to take our 43 years of product line and maybe unfold it over maybe 43 months, starting with something that, the tip of the spear.
Well, that's why actually at convention, we're going to teach how to do a demo, but we're going to have 600 people doing demos because it's the forgotten art with half the people coming. We're going to show you 2 or 3 really easy, fast demos. Can you guys imagine the power and the energy in that room when 600 people start laughing and having fun doing demos? When you hear the laughter in the room and the people playing with the products, that's the cash register ringing. That's what it is. So demoing is everything. And when people enjoy it, they feel empowered. And it's easier to hand out 3 vital balances than it is to find the right video, the right scientific white paper, and the right link on on your web page. If you like it, buy it. There's my web page. If we make it that easy, we're going to make $1 billion here.
Guys, I'm going to keep this call short, so I'm going to end it on this note because I'd like you to be able to take that PDF and send a copy of that PDF with a copy of the link to this video to your team so that they know how to use it, what it's for, give it context, and we can go from there. What do you say? Yeah? Okay, Rick, thank you so much for joining our call and contributing this intelligence to this organization. We totally agree it's needed and it's welcome. So thanks for your contribution to this call and to Niken, buddy.
It was my honor to be there, man. I'm going to go kiss a 57-pound buffalo now and play some Xbox with my boy. I'll see you in a little while.
All right, guys.
All right, God bless you guys.
Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Excellent.